Can the foods we choose truly affect the long-term health of our prostate gland? It's a question too often overlooked. The science suggests that by removing a specific set of 9 inflammatory and hormonally disruptive dietary elements, men can take significant strides toward reducing symptoms and risks, with some studies suggesting lifestyle changes can correlate to a measurable reduction in prostate size or symptom severity. These common, everyday foods actively fuel prostate disease. They create an internal environment that promotes cellular proliferation, genetic instability, and tissue enlargement. They are the biggest disruptors, either by fueling chronic inflammation or by sabotaging your body's delicate hormone balance. This comprehensive analysis promises to be science-based, diving deep into the biological mechanisms at play. Understanding this connection is the key to an empowering and preventative diet. We're not talking about deprivation, but about choosing nutrient-dense alternatives that support cellular repair. Let's start with the science. The scientific foundation, the dual threat. To appreciate the necessity of avoiding certain foods, one must first understand the battlefield, the prostate microenvironment. 2 primary pathways dictate its fate: chronic systemic inflammation and the dysregulation of sex hormones. The mechanism of chronic inflammation. Inflammation is a natural healing response, but when it becomes chronic and low grade, it is a significant driver of prostate pathologies. Chronic inflammation often involves an increased concentration of inflammatory cytokines such as tumor necrosis factor alpha, TNF-alpha, and interleukins, IL-6, IL-8. These small protein molecules act as powerful growth factors, encouraging the division and proliferation of epithelial and stromal cells, the very hallmark of benign prostatic hyperplasia, or BPH. Diets high in pro-inflammatory fats and sugars directly increase the production of these cytokines, providing continuous fuel for cellular irritation within the gland. The resulting oxidative stress damages DNA and cellular structures, paving the way for disease progression and creating an environment ripe for cancerous transformation. This sustained state of prostatic inflammation, often termed prostatitis, directly drives hyperplastic growth. The mechanism of hormonal dysregulation. The prostate is heavily reliant on androgen hormones for maintenance and growth. The enzyme 5-alpha-dollar reductase converts the precursor testosterone into the highly potent dihydrotestosterone, DHT, which drives prostate cell growth by binding to androgen receptors. However, dietary factors can dramatically alter this hormonal landscape in 2 critical ways. First, through insulin-like growth factor 1, IGF-1 signaling, which we will detail shortly. Second, through influencing the aromatase enzyme. Aromatase converts androgens like testosterone into estrogens. With age, the balance often shifts. Testosterone declines, while high body fat, adipose tissue, increases aromatase activity, leading to higher circulating estrogen levels. Elevated estrogen levels are now recognized as powerful growth promoters in the prostate, particularly in inducing stromal cell proliferation, further contributing to BPH size. Foods that disrupt the delicate balance of these hormones effectively push the gland toward excessive growth and potential malignancy. The 9 food categories to avoid. Deep dive. Based on their documented effects on inflammatory markers, hormonal balance, and cellular proliferation pathways, the following 9 categories of food warrant careful avoidance or strict limitation for optimal prostate health. 1. Red meat and processed meats. The link between high consumption of red meat, especially processed varieties, and increased prostate risk is strong and multifaceted. Firstly, when meat is cooked at high temperatures, grilling, frying, or broiling, carcinogenic compounds called heterocyclic amines, HCAs, and polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, PAHs, are formed. HCAs, such as MeIQ and PHIP, are potent mutagens that can damage prostate cell DNA, initiating genetic instability. Secondly, red meat is high in saturated fat, which promotes chronic inflammation and contributes to overall cardiovascular risk factors that parallel prostate risk. Crucially, studies consistently show that processed meats, like sausages, bacon, and deli slices, face the highest risks, likely due to the high levels of nitrates and nitrites used as preservatives. These can be converted into carcinogenic N-nitroso compounds, nitrosamines, in the acidic environment of the stomach. Furthermore, The heme iron found abundantly in red meat acts as a powerful pro-oxidant, accelerating damaging oxidative stress that contributes to chronic inflammation within the prostatic tissue. Limiting intake to white meat, fish, and plant-based protein sources is a fundamental preventative measure. Number 2, sugar and high glycemic carbohydrates. The single biggest accelerant for prostate issues is sugar and its cousins, high glycemic carbohydrates. This class includes sodas, sweetened juices, high fructose corn syrup, white table sugar, and many commercial breakfast cereals. The rapid spike in blood glucose triggers a compensatory surge of insulin. Over time, high consumption leads to insulin resistance and then hyperinsulinemia, chronically elevated insulin. Insulin is structurally similar to IGF-1, and high levels of both are recognized as powerful growth signals for prostate cells. The chronic stimulation of this insulin IGF-1 signaling cascade is a highly aggressive mitogenic pathway. It works by activating cellular pathways, like the PI3K-AKT-mTOR axis, that directly drive the uncontrolled cellular growth seen in BPH and promote cancer cell survival and resistance to cell death, apoptosis. By fueling this metabolic dysfunction, these foods ensure the prostate is constantly receiving signals to grow and divide, effectively bypassing the body's natural growth regulation controls. Limiting these foods is essential for dampening these powerful growth signals and restoring cellular balance, particularly for men with metabolic syndrome or type 2 diabetes. Number 6, refined grains. Processed flours. Refined grains, such as white pasta, white rice, and most commercial baked goods made from processed flours, fall under the same metabolic indictment as refined sugar. Their outer fibrous bran and nutrient-rich germ have been stripped away, leaving behind a highly concentrated source of starch. This means they are rapidly digested, leading to a high glycemic load and the subsequent chronic release of large amounts of insulin and IGF-1. While they don't contain the simple sugars of candy, their effect on the body's metabolic signaling is nearly identical. The cumulative consumption of these high glycemic carbohydrates promotes a chronic state of metabolic overdrive, constantly signaling cellular growth and minimizing the opportunity for cellular rest and repair. For prostate health, the repeated elevation of insulin and IGF-1 is a direct and powerful trigger for BPH progression and heightened cancer risk. Switching to whole grains like oats, quinoa, barley, and brown rice that have their full fiber content intact significantly slows down glucose absorption, reducing the insulin spike and mitigating this continuous pro-growth signaling. The fiber also aids in the excretion of excess hormones via the digestive tract, further improving hormonal balance. Number 3, excessive dairy products, especially whole milk. The role of dairy in prostate health remains controversial, but meta-analyses often show a positive correlation between high intake, especially whole milk, and an increased risk of prostate cancer. The mechanism is heavily tied to two factors, calcium and IGF-1. Dairy is a major dietary source of calcium. While calcium is essential, excessive intake may lower circulating levels of 1,25-dihydroxyvitamin D, the active form of vitamin D, a nutrient with documented anti-cancer and anti-proliferative properties in the prostate. More powerfully, milk naturally contains significant amounts of IGF-1 and various other growth factors, including peptides like A1 beta casein, intended to spur the rapid growth of a calf, but which can also act as powerful mitogens in the human body. The consumption of milk can also elevate the body's own production of IGF-1, compounding the growth-promoting effect. This high anabolic state is counterproductive to prostate health. Limiting high-fat dairy, which concentrates these factors, and opting for plant-based alternatives or fermented dairy like yogurt is a prudent step for men with elevated prostate concerns. Number 4, trans fats and highly processed seed oils. This category includes partially hydrogenated oils, the source of trans fats, and common industrial seed oils such as soybean, corn, cottonseed, safflower, and vegetable oils, which are pervasive in commercial frying and processed snacks. These oils are typically very high in omega-6 polyunsaturated fatty acids, PUFAs, and dangerously low in beneficial omega-3 PUFAs. The typical Western diet has a highly inflammatory omega-6 to omega-3 ratio, often 10:1 to $21, instead of the evolutionarily appropriate 1:1 to 4:1. This profound imbalance is a direct contributor to systemic inflammation. The primary omega-6 fatty acid, linoleic acid, is metabolized into arachidonic acid, AA. AA is the precursor for a cascade of highly potent pro-inflammatory eicosanoids, including prostaglandin E2, TEX PGE2, thromboxanes, and leukotrienes. These compounds directly escalate chronic inflammation that irritates the prostate and promotes BPH. By replacing healthful monounsaturated fats, like olive or avocado oil, with these processed high omega-6 oils, you are actively loading the body with the raw materials needed to escalate the chronic inflammatory burden. Minimizing these oils is one of the fastest and most impactful ways to reduce the body's overall inflammatory profile. Number 5. Excessive alcohol consumption. Chronic, heavy alcohol intake is an established risk factor for numerous cancers, and its impact on the prostate is largely mediated through hormonal disruption and liver strain. The liver is the body's central processing unit for hormone metabolism, responsible for clearing and conjugating estrogens and regulating sex hormone-binding globulin, SHBG. Excessive alcohol consumption stresses the liver, impairing its ability to metabolize and excrete excess estrogen. This leads to higher circulating levels of estrogen, which can act as a powerful growth promoter in prostate tissue, particularly in older men where the testosterone to estrogen ratio naturally declines. Crucially, alcohol upregulates the activity of the aromatase enzyme, particularly in visceral fat tissue, which accelerates the conversion of available testosterone into estrogen. The resulting unfavorable androgen to estrogen ratio contributes significantly to the hyperplasia of the gland. Furthermore, ethanol and its primary metabolite, acetaldehyde, increase oxidative stress throughout the body, providing additional inflammatory stimuli to the prostate. Limiting alcohol intake, especially hard liquor and heavy daily consumption, is critical to restoring metabolic efficiency and hormonal equilibrium. Number 7. Charred, smoked, or well-done meats. Returning to the cooking method, the degree of doneness is crucial, irrespective of the meat type. Cooking muscle meat at high temperatures creates the carcinogenic compounds HCAs and PAHs. These substances form when creatine, amino acids, and sugars react at temperatures above 300 circ.C. The primary concern is the formation of PH@P, 2-amino-1-methyl-6-phenylimidazo 4,5-pyridine, one of the most abundant HCAs found in grilled meats. The black, charred crust on a grilled steak or the burnt edges of chicken are highly concentrated sources of these mutagens. When consumed, these compounds are absorbed and must be detoxified by the liver via the cytochrome TEX 450 enzyme system. Incomplete detoxification means they can travel through the bloodstream, potentially binding to DNA in sensitive tissues like the prostate, leading to mutations that initiate cancer. Choosing cooking methods that use lower, gentler heat, such as stewing, poaching, or baking, and avoiding the black, crispy edges is a straightforward preventative measure. If grilling, marinating the meat beforehand with antioxidant-rich spices like rosemary and thyme, and flipping frequently can significantly reduce the formation of these dangerous compounds. Number 8. Excessive caffeine. The bladder irritant. While caffeine's link to prostate cancer is not strongly established, its role as a significant irritant for men suffering from BPH, enlarged prostate, and chronic prostatitis is undeniable. Caffeine is a xanthine derivative that acts as a potent diuretic, increasing urine production and the frequency of urination, which severely exacerbates the primary BPH symptom, urgency and frequency. More importantly, caffeine is a known direct bladder and urethral irritant. It can cause the smooth muscle of the detrusor, bladder muscle, to contract more intensely and often, leading to a bothersome feeling of needing to urinate even when the bladder is not full. This is a crucial distinction. Caffeine doesn't just increase urine volume, it actively irritates the plumbing. For men who already struggle with a weakened urine stream or incomplete bladder emptying due to BPH, this increased urgency is physically and socially disruptive, often leading to increased nocturia, nighttime urination. While moderate intake may be tolerable, excessive consumption, 3 or more cups of coffee, or consumption of high caffeine energy drinks should be strictly limited. The focus here is on improving quality of life and symptom management alongside long-term disease prevention. 9. High sodium, salty snacks and processed foods. High sodium diets, typically found in highly processed and packaged snacks, frozen meals, canned soups, and fast food, are linked to hypertension and cardiovascular issues, but they also have a distinct connection to prostate health. Excess sodium intake can increase thirst, leading to excessive fluid consumption, which in turn significantly increases nighttime urination, nocturia, a major symptom of BPH that severely impacts sleep quality. However, the connection is deeper than simple fluid management. High salt intake is associated with chronic fluid retention and an overall increase in inflammatory markers. Studies show that a high salt diet can directly impact the renin-angiotensin-aldosterone system, RAS, a hormonal system that regulates blood pressure and fluid balance. Dysregulation of RAS, often triggered by sustained high sodium intake, has been implicated in the promotion of BPH, suggesting a direct physiological pathway connecting salt consumption to prostate growth and tissue remodeling. Furthermore, processed salty foods are often manufactured using the pro-inflammatory seed oils discussed earlier, Category 4, and combined with refined grains, Category 6, creating a triple threat of high sodium, unfavorable fatty acid content, and high glycemic load. Reducing processed food consumption, which accounts for the vast majority of sodium intake in the Western diet, is a critical step in both cardiovascular and prostate protection. Conclusion: an empowered path forward. The relationship between diet and prostate health is not a passive one. It is a direct biological feedback loop where every meal acts as a powerful signal. By choosing to eliminate or severely limit the 9 food categories, red and processed meats, refined sugars and high glycemic carbohydrates, excessive dairy, pro-inflammatory seed oils and trans fats, excessive alcohol, refined grains, charred meats, excessive caffeine, and high sodium processed foods, men are taking an active, empowering step to halt the 2 major processes that fuel prostate disease: chronic inflammation and hormonal imbalance. This is not a message of fear, but one of scientific opportunity. By dampening the aggressive mitogenic signals of insulin, IGF-1, by cutting sugar and refined grains, and reducing the biochemical raw materials for inflammation, by eliminating trans fats and balancing omega ratios, the prostate is given the optimal chance to achieve cellular equilibrium. The resulting benefits go beyond the prostate, positively impacting cardiovascular health, metabolic function, and overall energy. This shift is achievable and sustainable. The knowledge of these 9 culprits provides a clear, science-backed roadmap. The power to significantly reduce risk and improve quality of life is not found in a prescription, but in the deliberate, informed choices made at every meal. It is an empowering journey toward vitality and long-term well-being. What swap will you make first to begin your empowered prostate diet? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into health and longevity.